2010 study conducted by the team I worked for at Indiana University found that only about 18% of women reliably orgasm from penetration alone. And many male partners, probably yourself, get genuinely concerned if their partner doesn't climax during intercourse. Now, they're not being cocky or lazy or clueless. They've simply been handed a partial manual. And honestly, from both personal and professional experience, I can tell you that most men are doing their best to work with this incomplete information. Women are walking around with complex, interconnected, multi-orgasmic systems, and men are walking around with a 2-line pamphlet that reads, rub here, thrust there, good luck. So today, I'm gonna give you the full manual. I'm gonna share some game-changing facts about the female orgasm that are gonna take pure chance out of the game, and I'm gonna give you the confidence of knowing that you have all of your bases covered every single time. Here are 5 shocking facts about the female orgasm that no one taught you, but make the biggest difference in whether or not she has the big O. Backed by science, my many years of coaching, and my personal experience in between the sheets. Let's dive in. Number 1, the clitoral hood is basically a female foreskin. Most men go straight for the clitoris like they're ringing a doorbell and waiting for an answer. But here's the thing. The clitoris is often way too sensitive for direct touch, at least at first. Just like the foreskin on a penis, the clitoral hood exists to protect the very delicate nerve endings. And for many women, especially when they're still warming up, direct clitoral stimulation is overwhelming and not in a good way. In fact, if you directly stimulate the clitoris too early, her body literally contracts away from pleasure. And the way to avoid that is by using her clitoral hood as a source of stimulation, aka playing with, touching, and thoughtfully stimulating the hood. Some of the best orgasms that I have ever had started not by someone touching my clitoris, but by gently gliding their fingers over the hood, or just slightly pulling it back, or teasing it without ever actually exposing the clitoris fully. So if you are someone who typically goes from 0 to 60 and dives right in, slow down. Start with a warm-up. Test her hood, test its position and what feels good for her, get a sense of her sensitivity. This is how you actually build up her arousal, not by rushing the most sensitive part of her body, but by preparing it. By the way, I have a whole video on the clitoral hood with a bunch of techniques on how to pleasure it, so finish this video, then go watch that one next. Number 2, the vestibular bulbs are the hidden power source of her orgasm. Now, if you've watched my video on this, then you already know the vestibular bulbs are 2 sort of long, almond-shaped pieces of erectile tissue that sit on either side of the vaginal opening underneath the skin. They are made out of erectile tissue and they swell when she is aroused. When they fill with blood, that entire region becomes plush, reactive, and super sensitive. One of my clients told me that he felt like he had discovered a new G-spot because he had rhythmically pressed along the base of her vaginal entrance and his partner basically started levitating. Now, if you want to try that, watch my video on the vestibular bulbs after you watch the one on the clitoral hood and after you finish this one. It shows you the kind of touch that will build fuller, deeper orgasms and make everything feel more intense than just clitoral stimulation alone. Number 3, the A spot and P spot are a real thing, so get to know them. Okay, only the best lovers and the true sex nerds among us know deeply the A and P spot. In fact, there's a guy, one of my Patreon members, who's been working very hard to get to his partner's A spot, and we recently got there after a couple months actually of like trial and error, and he was attending every AMA and asking this question, and now she's having A spot orgasms. Congratulations. All right, back to my topic again. Now, we all know that sexual pleasure comes from nerve stimulation, right? Well, different parts of our body use different nerve pathways, and that's what makes the A spot and the P spot so cool. Now, the clitoris is connected primarily through the pudendal nerve, which tends to create sharp, intense, sort of fast orgasms. And while this is a controversial take, I believe from my own work with paraplegic clients that the A spot and P spot use a completely different nerve pathway, potentially the hypogastric nerve and the deeper pelvic nerves. Now, the A spot is located along the front wall of the body near the cervix, anterior, and then the P spot is located same up but opposite side, the back side of the body, aka the posterior. So A is in anterior, P is in posterior, and both of them are up near the cervix. Stimulating these areas can create full body waves of pleasure, emotional release, shaking legs, transcendent orgasms. But here's the deeply mind-blowing part. Stimulation that activates the vagus nerve, which bypasses the spinal cord entirely, is why women with spinal cord injuries can still orgasm from deep cervical stimulation. So I remembered when I personally discovered my A and P spot, which is with a previous partner, and while we didn't change anything significantly, he just sort of like changed his angle. And suddenly I was having this like massive, warm, extended, almost tearful release that felt completely different. I had like no control over it. I wasn't trying to reach orgasm. It just sort of happened, and it just sort of continued on. It was like big, warm, never-ending waves of pleasure. By the way, this is one of the reasons that there's no universally preferred penis size or shape, because they all hit different spots in different ways. So anyways, if you've ever had a partner who like had a like complete earth-shaking sort of never-ending orgasm, or had a good cry after an orgasm, it might have been that you activated some of these deeper neural circuits. This serves as an important reminder that when it comes to female orgasm, angles matter more than force, speed, or size, aka the motion of the ocean, but also which way the ship is pointing. Don't think too hard about that. Number 4, her brain has to turn off before her body can turn on. Now, we've all heard that the brain is the biggest sex organ, but it can also be the biggest orgasm blocker. A woman can want you, be attracted to you, trust you, feel safe with you, and still not be able to orgasm because her brain simply will not quiet down. Research shows that the female orgasm requires reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that is responsible for self-monitoring, vigilance, and worry. It's also associated with our human brain. Meaning that if she is stressed, overthinking, wondering how she looks, like thinking about that she's only got 20 more minutes before she's got to get up and get the kids ready, her orgasm isn't going to happen, at least not as easily. That's why in my coaching, I focus on teaching men how to build presence just as much as I do technique. Because learning how to meet a partner with a steady breath, deep eye contact, grounding touch, and confidence is just as important as technique when it comes to getting her off. Because look, technique doesn't get her out of her head, right? The other things that I mentioned do. And if you can get her out of her head because you are so still and so present that she's literally like has to, like she like gets into alignment with the momentum of presence that you and your nervous system have created, then her orgasm becomes a lot more inevitable. Now, I dive into this a lot deeper in my new book, Harder, Better, Longer, Stronger. In chapter 6, I cover the orgasm gap, why women orgasm less, what the science actually says, and how to shift into a team-based, pleasure-first mindset in order to close the gap. Anyway, the book is available for pre-order now. I've linked to it in the description, and if you feel like you're getting something out of this video, then the book is going to blow your mind, and it's going to change your life, especially your sex life. All right, number 5, penetration alone rarely works, but you can hack it. Like I mentioned earlier, only 18% of women orgasm from penetration alone. Luckily, you can learn to penetrate in a way that also stimulates the part of her body that brings the other 82% of women to climax. It is all about learning how to hit multiple targets at once. So try positions that stimulate her clitoris with your pelvic area while you're penetrating her. Girl on top can be great for this because she knows better than anyone else what is working for her, what's actually like allowing her clit to stay in contact with your body, and that is why a grinding motion will work much better for this than an up and down. Missionary position can also work if you are able to tilt your pelvic bone in a way that rubs against her clitoris.